I cannot believe this as the Milwaukee Bucks fall in brutal fashion to the Brooklyn Nets. And they almost came back from a 20-point plus deficit. They went on a 20-0 run. It did not matter. The Milwaukee Bucks lost. There's a lot of things to discuss in this game and some big decisions they're going to have to make and some hard decisions they're going to have to make going forward if they want to continue to compete. Before we get into it, folks, a quick reminder, hit that subscribe button. If you're enjoying the daily Bucks content and you're a part of the 83% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content. So thank you guys so much for your continued support. And it was a rough Milwaukee Bucks game. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, it was a brutal loss. They have Dame, they have Giannis. That's no longer an excuse. And they came out and they lost to the Brooklyn Nets. And there's a ton of storylines and a ton of things to talk about here. I mean, they were down 21 points, 111-90, and they come back and only lose by 3. Now, that's the positive. We're going to dive into those positives, but there's also some things and some hard questions we're going to have to see. We saw Doc Rivers go to the bench, which I think was very smart, which of course we'll dive into as well. And there's a lot of questions, and this is the starting lineup that they have been waiting for all season. Specifically, of course, talking about Middleton, Giannis, Brook Lopez, and Dame. They were the guys that, again, in a lot of these losses with the Milwaukee Bucks, they were without Dame or without Giannis or without both. And now in tonight's game, you're up against a very poor Brooklyn Nets team who just traded away their best 3-and-D player. They got D'Lo back, and you lose in a game that really, they looked good for the first 6 minutes of the game, looked horrible the whole rest of the way besides the last 3 to 6 minutes there. And for a team as good as the Milwaukee Bucks can be and are, they need to come out hotter. They cannot come out so lackadaisical. They're coming out lazy. They're not playing up to their opponent at all. They're playing down to their opponent. And in tonight's game, I'm sure Giannis, Dame, and the whole team, coaching staff, thought that the Bucks were just going to coast to an easy win against the Brooklyn Nets. This one's an easy one. And unfortunately, the opposite happened. They came out, they were super sloppy, and there's some things to, conversation to have. For one, we'll start with Giannis. A very solid game. Of course, missed the layup that would have tied it. And he needed to hit that layup. There's no doubt about it. He missed. But going 3 for 10 from the free throw line it's very hard to win a game when your superstar player goes 3 for 10 from the 3-point line or the free throw line, and then your other star player in Dame couldn't hit anything. He couldn't hit a shot. He hit a couple down the stretch, but he went 6 for 20. Just a really bad game for Dame. And these nights are going to happen where Giannis plays well aside from free throws and Dame doesn't shoot the ball well. Just given this duo, it's going to be hard for them to play well every night. And of course, the inconsistencies with Giannis's free throw shooting has been something that's been on, everyone knows about for a very long time. And Dame Lillard, it was just an off game for him. He took some great shots. He took some bad shots. And you'd like to see him be more, hit more of those shots. But at the end of the day, nights like this are going to happen for Dame, who played a team high 40 minutes. But as you look at some of the other guys here, and a guy I want to point out, and it's not necessarily to call him out, but it kind of is to call him out. I do think that Doc Rivers and the rest of the coaching staff, front office, need to have a hard look at Chris Middleton and the impact he's having on the floor. He was a team worse, minus 18 tonight, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. And I was praising him when he first came back for how good his facilitating has increased. The problem with him now is that this lineup lacks defense. And we saw the Brooklyn Nets continue to expose Chris Middleton tonight. And we've seen his decrease in defense over the past couple of years, his age 32 season, age 33 season, and now he's in his age 34 season. And his defense has not gotten better by any means. Again, a minus 18. His defense ultimately tonight, it led to a lot of the struggles regarding the lineups that he was playing with. They all played poorly, and a lot of that is to do not fully with Chris Middleton. I'm not calling him out fully, but his defense is bad that it's really hard to compensate. And I still think he played well. He's been facilitating well. He's been shooting the ball a lot better than he was before. But now as you start to look at what this team looks like with Chris Middleton in the lineup, whenever he was on the floor and with a lot of the lineups that Doc was running Chris Middleton with, his defense is so poor that it really lowers the floor for these lineups, which causes some problems. And speaking of lineups, we know, Doc was running the normal 7 to 8 man rotation, really 7, the starting 5, Taurean Prince, Bobby Portis, and Gary Trent Jr., so 8. And things were going so poorly that they called upon Marjon Beauchamp and Pat Connaughton. And they were the two guys that when they came into the game contributed to the 20-0 run that the Milwaukee Bucks saw happen. And is it because Pat Connaughton and Marjon Beauchamp are the missing pieces and are the answer? Absolutely not. But they came out, they played with grit, they played with intensity, and they played great defense. Obviously, Pat Connaughton subbed in the game. The first 30 seconds, got an and one called against him. The Bucks were down 21 or whatever it was, and the team was looking rough. But other than that, they were making defensive plays. I think Pat Connaughton, and I've been as hard as anybody on Pat Connaughton, I think he played good tonight. They went in, they grabbed rebounds, they played defense. No one else in the team was doing that. And I do want to give praise and credit to Doc Rivers for that here. at least he tried something new. And when the team isn't rolling and when they're playing poorly, when Gary Trent Jr. is playing bad, Ron Rollins is playing bad, Torian Prince, Bobby Portis, the whole starting lineup, they're playing lazy, they're playing poor. Send a message and bring up some of the guys who haven't played all season. Pat Connaughton, a ton of DNPs in a row. Marjan Beauchamp, a ton of DNPs in a row. They come out and they play good. Yeah, they didn't score a ton of points, but they were playing alongside Giannis and Dame there for a long stretch, and their defense brought them back into this game more so than it would have with Gary Trent Jr., with Andre Jackson Jr., any of these guys, even Chris Middleton. So it's at the point now where it's like, I'm happy that they did it. And at the end of the day, I'm happy that Doc Rivers made a adjustment there. But it's, the minutes where Giannis wasn't out there were very rough tonight. The comeback was phenomenal. I'm very happy that the team showed grit. It's probably one of the more frustrating losses of the season just because you know how much more talented you are than the other team. And we saw Cam Johnson tonight, a phenomenal player, of course, but like they weren't great. Cam Thomas sliced and diced the Bucks up the entire night, especially there in late in the fourth quarter. But like the defense was just poor. Cam Johnson, 10 for 16. This is a team that doesn't even touch the Milwaukee Bucks when it comes to talent. It's not even remotely close, not in the same stratosphere. But what it mattered was they worked harder, they played better defense, and they actually wanted to win this game. And this was a game, again, where Dame and Giannis combined for 77 minutes. There's no more excuse of Dame and Giannis aren't healthy. Dame and Giannis aren't playing together. They're not in the lineup. Are they 100%? We don't know. I would doubt it. But at the same time, that doesn't matter. You have 23 from Giannis, 27 from, 27 from Giannis, 23 from Dame. Brook Lopez didn't give you much tonight at all. Andre Jackson, not much. Chris Middleton, fine score, horrific defensively. Bobby Portis, bad defensively, a lot of turnovers tonight. How many? Yeah, 4. You can see it by watching the game. 4 turnovers, 15 and 8. He still gives you the counting points and the counting stats, but there's some games where you don't need that. And Torian Prince, he saw a reduced role. It's a bit unfortunate, but it's, ultimately, but ultimately it is what it is with him. It was a gutsy comeback. I'm happy. The loss is on a few different players. Dame was probably the biggest reason. It was just a bad game from him, and he's not a good defender. So if you can't play defense and you're having a bad offensive game, it's going to happen. But there's going to be a ton of games where Dame comes out and he wins the Milwaukee Bucks some games. So you like to see some of your other guys step up and kind of pick up your teammate in Damian Lillard. And they almost did that. But Beauchamp, Pat Connaughton, Giannis down the stretch. It almost happened. Just a few too many missed free throws, a few too many missed gimmies. And it was rough. And it was some bad defense by Dame. It was a lot of different things. However, at the same time, I'm not too worried about this loss. Yes, it's concerning. Yes, it's brutal, horrific loss. But what doesn't, it doesn't define the season. And I know a lot of, Bucks fans are overreacting out there. The gutsy comeback. I mean, they were down 21. They could have easily folded. They had a huge comeback, and that's ultimately what I'm going to look for. I'll look to take the positives in this situation. I'll be negative when there's, a reason to be negative. And tonight was not a good game. It was horrible, but they've been playing fine basketball. They're going to get back to form, and hopefully they make an addition at the deadline, addition or two here, because Chris Middleton defensively looks bad. They need a 3-and-D wing. But at the end of the day, let me know down below what your thoughts are on all of this. Another loss, but at least they had the 20-point comeback. And at the end of the day, folks, the team is going to be looking very solid once everyone can figure out their roles, and hopefully they figure them out soon. But thank you guys for watching. See you later.